What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Now, the last 3 episodes of WandaVision, the finale included, all promise to be absolutely insane. And although we haven't been able to verify it here at the channel, multiple sources are reporting that each of the last 3 episodes will be almost an hour long. Given how much length and breadth they still have to cover in this story, I'm not surprised. Now, we have the leaked description of episode 7 with some plot details included, and given how accurate 5 and 6 were, well, the spoiler warning is going to take on a whole new level of caution. We're going to break down the entirety of this leak, talk about where it came from, try to contextualize it with what we already know is going on in the show. Of course, I'll overlay the text for you here in this video, and of course, issue the normal spoiler warning. We're going to break down everything episode 7, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we are headlong into, could easily hit by next month's end, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions throughout the remainder of the year while the shows are live. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around at the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So first up, the normal spoiler warning, where I usually tell you guys to take anything that doesn't come directly from Marvel Studios with a grain of salt. However, that's different today, considering the episode leaks for 5 and 6 were dead on the money, and a leaker by the name of Suki, who's been on Reddit since December, leaking details about the show a month and a half before it got released, basically have all been proven true. So, if this is in any way going to ruin your episode 7 experience, if the episode is an hour long, there's only about 5 or 6, a paragraph worth of leaks in here, but they're going to cover major plot points and sort of the narrative throughout the episode. That's going to ruin it for you, or your Marvel Phase 4 experience, or your Spider-Man 3 experience, your Multiverse of Madness experience, whatever it is, you might want to back out now. Also, this is coming from 4chan, another one of those quote-unquote anonymous leaks. Do not go to that site. It is not safe, and in order to save you from doing that, I've grabbed the text and will overlay it in the video here. It starts by saying Wanda leaves the twins with Agness while she repairs the hex. Now, it's unclear why she'd need to repair it. If you remember at the end of last episode, she stopped everybody and made it much bigger. Maybe she needs to use her magic to put it back in motion, or maybe those fringe citizens that we saw in the outskirts of the suburbs that were barely moving require her to double her efforts in order to get them back in line. Either way, it continues by saying Vision finds Darcy, restores her memories, and they discuss his death and rebirth. That came from an episode leak actually last week that described episode 6 in its entirety to a T, including Wanda expanding the hex at the end and sucking in Darcy, and had the dialogue. We'll make sure to link that video at the end of this if you want to hear the dialogue from that scene. But basically, Vision's going to ask Darcy about everything, and she's going to tell him about the events of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Monica goes into the hex to rescue Darcy and confronts Wanda with her newfound Photon powers. Now, we were all wondering how long it was going to take for Monica to go full-on superhero, considering they've been leading to it this entire series, and last week's huge bombshell that her cells were being rewritten on the molecular level every time she took a trip through the hex. Now, one thing to think about, Darcy herself has taken a one-way trip inside, and if Monica's successful in rescuing her, that would mean Darcy's going to have 2 trips of her own. Could it be that Darcy's going to be a superhero in the MCU, or is she not going to have the gene latently to be unlocked? That's something to pay attention to, as it might set up some of the rules going forward in the MCU for how mutants are created. The next one says they realize that the twins are missing and go to Agnes's house, where they learn that Agness is Agatha Harkness. Now, if you've seen any of the leaked set photos, there was a scene that they filmed where Agness was in full-on witch garb and looks like she's all the way back in the day at the Salem witch trials. I wonder how far they're going to go back with flashbacks to set this up, but this huge reveal has been coming for a while. In the flashbacks, Agatha masquerades as a psychiatrist, helping Wanda overcome her grief over Vision's death in order to control her. Now, listen, I know that there are a ton of leaks every property from Marvel, and some of them are right and some of them are wrong, some of them get disproven, but we were talking about this last summer when someone leaked that there would be some sort of flashback scene. We would get to see what was going on with Wanda right after the blip before she entered this whole hex scenario. We also know that that's coming up with whenever she goes and gets Vision's body from the unit. We've seen that in the trailer, so I'm not surprised about this at all, and it makes a lot of sense that she was coaxed into this, and she said, I don't even remember how this happened. We'll have to see what they set up and what they leave out, but of course I knew they were going to cover how the hex got started. And it goes on to say, under Agatha's influence, Wanda creates the hex, which Agatha describes as a dream world, but also a nightmare. Earmark that, we're about to come back to it. Episode ends with Agatha once again putting Wanda under her influence. Now, it's important to note that the word nightmare was used twice and poignantly in dialogue last episode, once by Pietro, once earlier in the episode. Now here's the use of the word nightmare again, and a lot of us have pointed towards Nightmare being one of the main villains in the show, if indeed it's not Mephisto. I've even argued that with the absence of the Infinity Stones, there might be multiple powerful and malicious entities vying for Wanda's magic and or entrance to this realm at the same time. One thing I'd like to point out, though, is that this seems to imply that Agatha Harkness is in some way the villain, but she could just as easily be under the control of Nightmare and Mephisto, or under the influence, at least, in the same way that they're setting up the Hex and Wanda. I mean, the Inception could start way earlier than Wanda. Mephisto or Nightmare could take over Agatha Harkness, a less powerful witch, in order to help him get to Wanda. That brooch that everybody points to that was absent in the last episode when Vision was talking to her might not have contained the soul of Nightmare or Mephisto, might not have implied her as a villain, but rather might have been her ward against his power. That was gone, and that's why we saw her in the hypnotic state. Either way, I think that this is a little bit of misdirection even late in the episode to make you think that Agatha Harkness is the main villain and or a villainary force when she's not. And I'm taking that from comic book precedent. There has been a ton of times where she's actually been on the side of the superheroes. She even goes on to become Franklin Richards' caretaker. I think there's a future for her in the MCU as a witch, maybe alongside Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange when magic is called for, and I'm not sure she's one of the main villains of this episode, rather maybe just under the power and influence of the same villain that's trying to get to Wanda in the first place. Guys, give me all your feedback, let me know all your ideas. It'll be interesting to see if this leak is as true as episodes 5 and 6, because like I said in the prologue, they were dead on the money. I am interested in all of your feedback. Let me know your theories for what's coming up in the finale of WandaVision and who the villain is. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we're headlong into, could easily hit by next month's end. All you have to do to be entered to win, or for the Disney Plus subscriptions or any of the future prizes we announce, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content is, of course, to hit that notification bell with notifications turned on, and I would appreciate it if you enjoyed today's video if you'd hit that like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter under I Am Fires. You can also find me on Spotify with original music under All Fires. You guys have actually given me some feedback about that recently. If you're still listening in this, the 8-minute mark of this video, music is my true passion. It's what I started doing. It's what I've done a majority of my life. I started YouTubing because I have an extreme passion, obviously, for the MCU, but if you guys want to get to know me better, the best way to do it is through my music. Again, you can find that on all platforms and Spotify under All Fires. I also have videos on YouTube here. You can find it. Thanks for checking out the channel, guys. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.